What is happening? Welcome to another episode of The Craft. My name is Nick Pollack of Pitcher List, and today I had to bring back Eno Sarris to finish our two-parter. It's the only reason why he's here. He's going to be gone. And we're going to talk about the National League spring storylines. Now, last week we talked about the AL, and I tried to speed run it to get to the NL, and I touched on it a bit, and was like, stop. We'll just continue next time, Nick. So here we are. And we are going to jump into the NL East. But before I even do that, I have to just ask one question. How impressed were you by Grayson Rodriguez yesterday?
He got on a mound.
But that's exactly how I'm impressed. I didn't expect to see him. 96, 97.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's not bad. And the one thing that I would hesitate, because I've got a spring training stuff numbers that I might be periodically referencing, and he had a 111 stuff plus. So that was good. The problem is the stuff plus has always been great on him, and it's more about him putting together the pitches, and his location plus of 60. His locations and how he puts together the pitches is how he gets. But you're right, just getting on the bump. Yay.
Yeah, that's all he needed to do. Just pitch. I mean, it is interesting. I think it's not as good of a four seamer as I thought it was. I mean, at least that wasn't to me. Like it's more, I like to think that I can see pitch movement plots like I'm Cypher from the Matrix now. It took me a while to get there, but I eventually got there, and I see, I'm like, oh, this is kind of dead zoney with his four seamer. So the velocity obviously is a major factor with it. He is generally a lower attack angle too, a good extension, I believe, from what I remember. But it's really more about like the secondary stuff really coming together, which is always what we've wanted from Grayson to take the next step. So look, he's on the mound. To me, it's worthy of Grayson being drafted at this point. To just kind of see where this goes. But I had to get your take with that. It's not going to be a focus of today, though. We're going to talk about all these NL teams. So I'm going to go straight into the NL East, and starting with Atlanta, whose rotation right now, Chris Sale and Spencer Strider, Reynaldo Lopez, Grant Holmes, Bryce Elder, with maybe Joey Wentz taking over there. And is there anything that you are watching in particular? And I would imagine that would have to start with Reynaldo Lopez.
Yeah, I watched him yesterday. I made sure to watch his start, and it was 92. One thing I did like was the command of the breaking ball seemed to be there. And I think that, if I'm extrapolating out, I don't even know if I have his usage numbers in front of me. 47% on the fastball. That surprises me. It felt like it was very breaking ball heavy. He threw 41% sliders, 6% curveballs. I could see this being a year where he doesn't emphasize the fastball. Now, coming out of that start with the 91.5 average, I thought it was going to be 92. That's not great. I mean, when we liked him, he was 95.
Right.
So I don't have any shares of him so far. I've drafted about 8 leagues. I'm not saying I wouldn't at all. There's, he can drop to a place where I'll like him. But the back end of this Braves rotation, if you're a Braves fan, bothers me. It got real bad real quick. And I'm not in on Bryce Elder. And I'd like to see how Grant Holmes pitches, but even if I'd say that the breaking balls are good enough for Holmes to be pretty good, I wouldn't start him at every start. Starting a Braves starter that you only start half the time at home is a little bit problematic because it's a tough park, at least when it comes to homers. And then lastly, he's pitching with a partially torn UCL. So, I don't think that you can give him anything north of a C+ health grade.
But here's the thing, Grant Holmes said he's felt better than ever.
Best of your life, I guess.
The real estate broker, what they do. I have to mention, Reynaldo Lopez throwing softer, not cool. He did have over an inch and a half, like it was about an inch and a half extra vert. And
that might just be because it's slower though,
Yeah, it's very possible. He did get, it was 82 on the slider. That's supposed to be really his major, major chase pitch and everything. And it's not really enough for me. I need to be blown away by Reynaldo Lopez and just feel like everything is fine in this. And to me,
we went away from using actual vert numbers in our stuff model.
Nice.
Because of the fact that slower pitches move more. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a 95 stuff plus on the four seam, which is better than I would have thought given the
For a
91.5.
91.5, yeah.
So
Right.
it does have pretty good shape, but the slider came in at 85 stuff plus. I don't know. And
Yeah,
a
no,
couple of the
that's
hits that weren't even hits were hit hard.
mm-hmm.
So I didn't come away very impressed.
And Bryce Elder, my gosh, I can't believe Atlanta would be in a situation that Bryce Elder would continue to find ways to get into this. I know last year that in April, Bryce Elder was actually pitching okay. Spencer Strider had a whole remark about how bad he felt coming up and replacing a guy like Bryce Elder who was pitching well at the time. But that's really what he does. Is Elder goes in and out of these moments where the sinker slider works and he's able to get enough outs with it or land it properly, but it's not something sustainable. While there's Joey Wentz, who I feel might get the spot instead. Both of them are out of options. So they're going to be with the big league club regardless. Spencer Strider has 3 options. Just throwing it out there. Just kidding. But Wentz is fascinating to me because he went from a 6.5 extension to 7 all of a sudden last year and actually found command of generally being upstairs with fastballs and cutters, at least sliders, down and in to right-handers and down away to lefties. And then I believe a curveball with that, but then got the changeup involved by the end of the year. And it feels more comprehensive of an approach than you traditionally see for guys battling for an SP5 spot. So I at least have some intrigue there. He would be the second lefty also inside of that rotation, as opposed to 4 righties and a lefty with Bryce Elder there. I'm inclined to think that Wentz should be that number 5 instead of Elder. I'm curious where you are.
I'm agnostic. I don't care. Sorry, I don't want either of them. Who I want is J.R. Ritchie.
No, I don't like J.R. Ritchie.
Really? I mean, I'm speaking more from model. I didn't get to actually see the approach, but one thing I like that has nothing to do with the model is he threw 6 pitch types at least 4 times and none more than 8 times. He threw his best stuff plus pitch, the curve, 8 times. So he seems to know what his best pitches are. He showed locations that were above average on 5 out of the 6 and stuff that was above average on 5 out of 6. So, I mean, that's combining model with just, bare bones, wide arsenal, looks like okay command and buzz around camp. I know it comes down to one tweet that somebody sent out there, but if I'm not saying he's going to take the job because I think you're right. Those guys don't have, Wentz doesn't have options. If you DFA him, or you might just lose him and you may just want him. But if Ritchie somehow just takes the job from somebody, then I'm interested.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I
mean, you not like about him?
Well, there wasn't enough interesting stuff with him. He was throwing softer than I would like to see from a prospect pitcher that I would invest in any way.
I did look at the minor league numbers.
His value came from command, and I do not like going after command prospects because Kyle Bodie said this a lot of, hey, control and command of a rookie is just weird, and don't trust those numbers in the first year in the big leagues because there's so many emotions going on the first year.
I mean, maybe it's because one of the things that you do hear from people is I'd rather blow out at the major league level. So you'll see you can be on the major league IL. So you'll definitely see people throw their hardest in the big leagues. There's a good 1 to 2 mile an hour tick that I call the sort of debut bump. And sometimes people just ride that. Jared Jones threw his hardest in the major leagues until he blew out.
Right.
That's not a rare story. So if you're coming up on command and stuff, what happens when you get to the big leagues? You're like, oh, now I'm going to throw my hardest, and where did that command go? And then also, command could help you carve up the minors and make you look like a better prospect than you are. And then you get to the big leagues and they're like, oh, nice that you have command of that, but it's still 90 poo and
exactly.
I don't care.
So I mean, for me, it's whenever I go after a prospect, it needs to be like, okay, he has electric stuff, but is he not going to walk guys? I mean, it's really kind of like that for the most part, and that has me more out. At the same time, for Atlanta, it seems like J.R. Ritchie should be good as a number 5 as a starter in the majors, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And even
yeah,
I agree with you, because when I looked at his minor league stuff numbers, it was 2 good breaking balls, no good fastball. So it was like
right.
that. That's a command profile. When I see that, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Better have good command or you're not a
uh,
prospect. So I agree with you generally, but I just liked Richie better than Wentz and
yeah,
Martin.
I
So
think I can understand that. Maybe Wentz, I'm still just curious about it. But yeah, I totally am with
we got
you.
to be faster than this if we're going
I
to do
know, I
15
know.
teams.
Also, Josh Berry will yell at me if I don't say there's also DD Fuentes at some point, and I'm excited to see what he does. He's only 20
Oh,
years
yeah.
old, and an incredible four-seamer if he can actually like locate that thing and have a proper backup to it. Okay, we're gonna go to the next team. Oh my gosh, the Miami Marlins. Sandy Alcantara and Yuri Perez are here, but so is Chris Paddock and Max Meyer and Braxton Garrett and Jansen Junk and Robbie Snelling. When are we going to see Robbie Snelling as a part of this rotation? You know,
I think it's sooner rather than later. I mean, the Paddock experiment, a bunch of teams have tried it, and he seems to be trending towards a bullpen assignment. The deal for $4 million says he could be in the bullpen this year. And then on top of that, Braxton Garrett and Max Meyer are maybe the most injured pitchers of the last couple of years in all of baseball. So, Snelling will be up. It sucks when you like, oh, this is a pretty good prospect and he's close, but he won't be there opening day.
why not?
So you don't think so?
I mean, no, no. I mean, no. I agree with you, but
Yeah,
I don't know. There is that their added incentive for major league clubs to promote early, to get the rookie of the year and all.
that's right.
And it's possible that Robbie Snelling, if he's there, in that rotation on day one as their SP4, I could grab that for them, right?
Maybe you just put Paddock on there as basically a 6 starter that's on the roster, but you have that in Jansen Junk too. So
Yeah, yeah. You also have like Bradley Blaylock, who I gotta say, I am so curious seeing Colorado pitchers coming out of Colorado because I just don't have any sort of faith that they sit down with all of their guys and say exactly the right things in the same way of other clubs. And I would imagine that Blaylock gets exposed to things. It is the Marlins who don't throw lefty sinkers for whatever reason, so I don't know. But Blaylock has interesting vert. I believe it is vert. Oh no, it's not vert. It's the he has an interesting aspect. I can't remember it, and it drives me nuts right now. But Blaylock is, I don't know. I just want to see him in a new environment and see if there's something different that we get when you're outside of Colorado. And they pursued him in some fashion. So maybe we do see him get involved a
by
little
the
bit. He
way,
only has one option left.
I don't think Yuri Perez has a home run problem.
No, I don't either.
Writing this up for tomorrow, but stuff model has like expected home run percentiles for every pitch,
Mm-hmm.
and none of his pitches is in the bad. Like his worst pitch for home runs is four seamer with the 49th percentile, and that's where 100 is bad. So
Right.
I don't see. I think he'll have basically like a homer per 9 this year and just bust out into the stratosphere.
Yeah, it's okay. Blaylock did have good vert, by the way. So there we go. I did get that right. I'm not stupid, y'all. Thank you so much. Now with Yuri, he just needs to get secondaries for lefties working. That's it.
Yeah.
I just want that working. Hopefully he's
But
still
that's like
experimenting with a changeup.
a year away from another year away from surgery. Maybe the command of the breaking balls, the command of the secondary stuff gets improved.
Absolutely. So good luck to the Marlins. We have the Mets. The Mets rotation. Okay, so I'm very happy that they got Freddie Peralta. Noah McLean, I'm very curious just to see him continue throwing innings. David Peterson, Clay Holmes is there, Sean Manaea, Kodai Senga. There's Tobias Myers as a long reliever. And as far as prospects go, I would say the interesting ones are Jack Weniger and maybe Jonathan Pintaro, of course, and Jonah Tong. What are you looking for specifically for this team?
There's a pretty cool piece. I'm looking right now to see if it's up yet, but if it's not, it will be soon. Will Salmon broke down every single one of Nolan McLean's pitches with the pitcher, and I recommend reading that. It's really fun. So the news is that he worked really hard on his cutter this offseason. Also, the fun thing is that McLean changeup is actually the Clay Holmes kick change. So
Ooh.
there's a bunch of other goodies in the piece, and it's really worth it. If you're trying to decide if McLean is worth all the hype, I tend to think yes. I think the stuff is pretty amazing, and I think he can only tweak this stuff. The secondary pitches, the cutter, the changeup, all that stuff can only get better as he gets further and further into pitching because he's a recent convert.
Right.
Sean Manaea said he's going back to the first change in arm slots. Who's got a new old arm slot, new arm slot. I don't think he'll have a great secondary pitch, so he's a streamer for me, or maybe a team streamer, as Sporer likes to call it, where he's on my team, but I don't start him all the time.
Yep.
And I think that's probably true for Clay Holmes and David Peterson. I love them at home. I like them in maybe half their away starts. Clay Holmes is now just a classic sinker baller that's going to hurt your whip, I think, and may not give you all the strikeouts you want, but also won't have a high ERA, and should be a good pitcher. So it's a classic rotation that mix of veterans and upside and track record. And then there's Kodai Senga, as the sixth. It's a complete wild card for me.
Reported that he was touching 97 in live batting practice. That's touching. But it is that's nicer to see 97 getting touched. You want him to be sitting 96, 95, 96. Kodai Senga, I think, can be a really good discount play because, he had a season barred by injury, but and by the end of the year was trying to, had the hamstring injury. Didn't really get back into a rhythm at the end. Okay, let's see how a healthy offseason in spring makes Kodai Senga look. Hopefully he can get to that velocity back and also lean back into the cutter to protect that four seamer a little bit more.
They could go to a 6. Senga would be comfortable in that. You'd be taking a couple starts away from Freddie Peralta, which is not ideal. But, one thing that the Dodgers and other teams have done is you can actually manage a rotation where one guy's on a 5 and everyone else is on a 6.
I'm all for this. I've been talking about this for ages. I think it's such a good idea.
It's really hard though. I mean, you basically have to have someone in your front office whose entire job it is to manage the starting pitcher schedule.
That's not hard.
Yeah.
Just have Claude do it. Okay.
I guess that person could probably also manage the bullpen schedule and be maybe the director of pitching or the assistant director of pitching. Or something like that.
It's essentially you have 6, and what happens is that you make a loop happen where you act like it's a 5, and then you have the one person gets displaced each time in the 6. So it's like after that 5 person, then the next person's gonna be this, next person's gonna be that. It makes sense in my head as I said it out loud. Okay, we're going to move past the Mets here. And I'm going to ask you a question. Who is the ace of the Washington Nationals?
Oh, my boy, Cade Cavalli is in my breakout pitcher article tomorrow. There's also some news that the Nationals are dialing down fastball usage across their staff. So, some beginning signs of what I would call a spring. A player development spring, a coaching springtime maybe, with the Nationals, who've been wintering for long enough. But I don't know that there's enough just raw talent in Miles Michaelis, Brad Lord, Josiah Gray, and Foster Griffin that little tweaks like this make them much more interesting for me. I think Cavalli's the one where maybe a tiny tweak could go a long way.
You said they're dialing down the fastballs. It's because, they put out, it doesn't matter how hard you throw ball 4, right?
Which, when I hear that, I'm like, throw ball 4. Got it.
Yeah, right. That's why they're going sliders now. Yeah. So Josiah Gray coming back is a little interesting. We haven't really seen him for a while. I'm curious if he's just feeling better. Like a lot of times when we come back from Tommy John, especially an extended one, we see pitchers throwing better than ever because they are more rested. They are not pitching hurt in any way.
They
I am
probably
curious about
revamped
that.
their
Yeah,
mechanics or their
yeah.
pitch mix,
They relearn pitching. They can make tweaks. I remember Tyone talking to me about that, where coming back from Tommy John, he had to relearn things and fix a hitch he had in his delivery. Foster Griffin, I'm just curious. I mean, to me, he's a very like a discount swatch, right? Like slow throwing southpaw. Not nearly as exciting as Cody Ponce or as Ryan Weiss, in my view. But I'm curious what we get there. Brad Lord has moments where he can throw sinkers inside and be effective. But yeah, Kate Cavalli is the interesting one. It's an amazing two playing hard curveball. The four seamer gets hit though, and he really has to locate that sinker well, I think, to make this
Yeah,
work.
but the early news from last year is that he located the sinker better than his four seam.
Yeah, that doesn't
So
surprise me.
I,
Yeah.
I could see him against righties at least having like a four pitch mix that's legit and
Mhm.
maybe having enough command of the sinker to be really dominant against righties. I expect him to walk a fair amount of lefties.
And eventually we'll get Alex Clemmie and Yarlin Susanna and Travis Sikora and
Did
Alejandro
Susanna have
Rosario.
surgery?
Oh yeah, all these are surgery. I'm saying these are
Oh.
like save for Alex Clemmie. But like eventually we'll get looks at those guys and
So all their
hopefully
prospects had surgery?
yeah.
Good
Well,
sign.
Susanna and Sikora and I believe Rosario too. So
Good.
yeah.
Good job. Good job. You guys are doing something good there.
We've got the Phillies next, the last of the NL East, and we're going to talk about them after this break. So the Phillies, Christopher Sanchez, of course, and Jesus Luzardo. Not really much to see there. I think also with Aaron Nola, it's just be normal. It's really Andrew Painter is the curious one, and somehow Taijuan Walker has found a way to be in this rotation again. It's been like 3 straight years of why are you here? But then again, Taijuan Walker leaned into the cutter last year and had more success with it than I expected, and it's still working-ish. But Andrew Painter, though, let's talk about him. He's not been the Andrew Painter that we thought we would get after getting Tommy John and having a struggling or really a tough 2025. And JT Realmuto has that quote saying, "Oh my gosh, he looks real deal," all that kind of stuff from a bullpen. Sure. How do you feel about Andrew Painter right now?
I think we have a disagreement brewing.
Oh,
I think he's still a prospect. I think he's still. I'm interested. The reason is when I look at his minor league stuff plus last year, the curve, the cutter, and the slider all rate as plus pitches. So this is a guy with 3 really good breaking balls. Now, the fastballs don't rate that well. And so it's surprising for a guy with his amount of velo that he will be a bad fastball guy. And that means that there is some pressure on his command. But again, the model numbers say that he can command the cutter and four seam well. And so I think he's going to maybe dial down the changeup and the sinker and be basically a fastball 3 breaking ball pitcher. Maybe not the best fastball in the world. I don't know if like Pivetta is a comp.
Oh, Pavetta's got actually an above average four seamer to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not Pivetta, but you know the type where it's like 3 breaking balls and an okay fastball.
Walker Bueller.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
not
know.
bad.
I mean, not now Walker Bueller, but then again, back in the day, Walker Bueller actually had a good four seamer, so I can't really.
That's not a bad comp though.
I'll figure it out. But I'm curious to hear why you think that we are going to have a disagreement necessarily. What's your impression?
I thought you didn't like Painter.
I don't love him because I need him to prove that this can work. Because again, four seamer isn't the dominant pitch. At the same time, everything about Painter in previous seasons was about his command. Like that is the thing. And it's possible, you needed a season to get it going. He's going to get the opportunity right now. I mean, it's possible the Phillies look at this in the spring and just go, man, he's just not ready. You just can't do this. And instead of Taijuan Walker, instead of Painter with Taijuan Walker, you have probably Alan Rangel. I think that's how you pronounce his name, who is actually kind of interesting. And he had a game as a starter last year for the Phillies, and I believe a little bit of relief. I want to focus on him in spring training. Unfortunately, Moises Chassé is hurt, and I loved that guy so much, but he was hurt last year. And Tommy John, so blah 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 blah. But long story short, I want to see Painter dominate. I want to see Painter hit spots and not necessarily this four seamer, but just showcase. Yeah, I've got my cutter. I've got my curve. Like, I'm feeling good on the mound and confident, and then I'll lean into it, even if the four seamer isn't, the best pitch out there. It just needs to have the right companions, and it should be good enough for me. So it's fine. It's fine. I'm just not like top 60 Andrew Painter. I'll take him in like the 80s or something like that. Yeah, why not? Let's take a chance. Make it happen. Pop the cork, finger snap, and we're going to go to the Brewers. And Brandon Woodruff not going to be ready for opening day, maybe, which is just okay. All right. Mizorowski, one of the most exciting pitchers to watch in baseball. Quinn Priester, Chad Patrick, and Logan Henderson. I don't really think there's much other competition. Oh, Kyle Harrison, of course. And that is really the battle that I would be focused on is Chad Patrick, Henderson, and Harrison. How do you feel that's going to end up? And is there someone that you're focusing on more than others?
I was surprised by a couple of things. One is that there's some buzz out of like local podcasts in Milwaukee that maybe Kyle Harrison could be ahead of even Logan Henderson on the interior depth chart for the Brewers. The Caleb Durbin trade makes a lot more sense if you think they really wanted Kyle Harrison.
Right. Yeah.
And so the other thing that happened was, in the midst of all this, we revamped the Stuff Plus just by looking at by retraining using 20 like throwing away 2020 and 2021 data and looking at more recent data. And when we did that, Kyle Harrison's has a 3-pitch mix of above average Stuff Plus. I don't get it because I've watched it a lot and I find this I find this slurve to be bad. I never thought the change was that good, and the four seam is actually good. The four seam is like a Sean Manaea.
It's flat, and he also increased his velocity last year.
Andrew Haney. It's like a high spin efficiency, low slot, flat pitch. It's a good pitch. I also just tend to think that they have something brewing for him. Like they will get a high riding cutter out of him or something. So I like Logan Henderson better than Kyle Harrison is what I'm saying. And I think this is a fascinating thing to watch. Chad Patrick could go back to the bullpen. They use both.
That's what's going to happen. I think that's it because you also need a southpaw in that rotation. Now it could just be solved by Brandon Woodruff not being ready for opening day.
Yeah, that would solve it for the short term. And I bet you then we get to see a little bit of, hey, how's this going to work against major leaguers and how long is Woodruff out? I bet you that is the solution.
That might be it. And Logan Henderson, though, right? He's a guy who lives in the upper right quadrant of the pitch movement plot. That is four seamer. It gets too plain that way, up and arm side. Changeup is there, but still isn't below the x-axis line. And then you have the gyro slider that gets more of that two plane toward the four seamer. So nothing leaves that, but the four seamer is really, really effective. And I really dig guys who can just pound a four seamer into the zone with something else. And I don't dislike the changeup in the slider from Logan Henderson. So
the changeup I think is plus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Yes. 100%. So that's great. Normally when I see a four seamer that I really like from someone this young who isn't so highly touted, it usually means that the secondaries are not so great. But as you mentioned, changeup, amazing. So I'm a fan of Logan Henderson. I think Chad Patrick is interesting, but just not quite enough. And they didn't trust him last year to go deep into games, I think on purpose. I imagine that would be more of the same. Quinn Priester is better at mitigating hard contact than I gave him credit for last year. It still seems strange and not stable, but he'll be an innings eater for them. And Mizorowski, of course, is so dope and also doesn't know where it's going. And that drives me up the wall. So moving on from the Brewers, we have the St. Louis Cardinals. And we were talking briefly beforehand about the Cardinals where, I sent you something like a week ago or like 2 weeks ago for a guy who might actually be starting this year in this rotation. But it's Matthew Liberatore, Dustin May, Andre Palante, and Michael McGreevy seemingly as the first four on this team. Then there might be competition for the fifth. Groner Graceffo is in there, but Kyle Leahy and his numbers kind of ridiculous. a 92 mph slider that has extra movement than your gyro. I comped it to Braxton Ashcraft's slider. And I was pretty shocked seeing that. What was your reaction to me being like, yo, Eno, banging on your door on Twitter?
No,
Look
it
at
was
this
fun
Kyle Leahy
because
graph.
you didn't tell me who it was,
Yeah.
and so it was one of those fun trivia games of like, who is this guy, and so I'd guessed that it was Cade Cavalli because of the hard slider, and I was wrong, but the I wasn't too far off in terms of how the pitch graphs look.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kyle Leahy, you opened my eyes to him. One thing that I'm worried about, and because the spring numbers look a lot like last year's numbers in terms of model, strikeout, all the strikeout ability, all that stuff. But the problem is that it was 2 innings, this spring, and last year he was a reliever. So I'm going to remain a little bit agnostic when it comes to like how is this stuff going to dial down? On the other hand, I think that there's a psychological component to this, which is like, this is maybe Kyle. I don't want to say last shot, but this is Kyle Leahy's big shot at being a starter.
Yes.
He's established himself as a reliever. He has one trajectory that he's on, in terms of career and pay and everything. And this is a chance for him to, so it's not a science when it comes to like exactly what his fastball velo will translate to. And I could see him actually sitting maybe close to 95 because he's like, I got to throw as hard as I can every time they let me on the mound. And I'm just going to try and throw 95 for 4 or 5 innings and see what happens. So I did pick up a share after you share that with me. And I think before I missed him because I thought with Fitz and Dobbins and all the guys that they went and got that they would keep those guys. One of those guys would make the rotation. It'd be like, this is why we traded away all these players. We got these players. But there's a note at the top of Kyle Leahy's page that said he's expected to begin the rotation. So maybe they're going to keep Fitz and Dobbins in, AAA and work on their arsenals down there.
Well, there was also some talk. I always get them confused, and I apologize, guys. One of them is recovering from an ACL injury and needs a little bit more time.
Maybe
Dobbins.
Yeah.
And then Fitz also had like an injury as well that they're being a little bit slow on that. I imagine they would just want to make sure he's okay on. So it doesn't surprise me too much there. There's also Tink Hence, Quinn Matthews, of course. Quinn Matthews is someone that I was really excited about last year and had a bit of an injury and a velocity dip before, but seems like he's getting back to what he was. So that would be of consideration there for the Cardinals. And I mean, let's also talk about Dustin May making his debut in Cardinal red to match his hair. It's like he always knew. And that could be a very interesting fit because that is a good park. It is a good defense. It is no Arenado anymore, but still it should be fine for him. And without the 20 million people in his ear, I imagine Dodgers to the Red Sox, like he's just like, I don't know what to do. All these things I'm trying to figure out now. So Cardinals like, yeah, we'll just go here. Just go, just, become and like, it might benefit him.
He's become a little bit more conventional over time, where his arm slot has dropped and he's now like a kind of just an east-west sinker slider guy.
Yeah.
And, I'm a little bit less excited about him than I used to be, but, he's super useful in that it's a nice home park. And I bet you he will find his identity this year, whether it's, dialing in the cutter or the four seam against lefties, something. He's tried a bunch of stuff, and I think now he might be able to find some comfort somewhere. And he's also 20 pounds heavier, so maybe that speaks to his ability to stay healthy throughout the season.
That can't happen. Brent Rooker told me you can't be 20 pounds heavier.
Yeah, I think the distinction there was that he said that you can't be 20 pounds of muscle heavier.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
You can't. I think there are people out there
that tongue in cheek there, by the way. Guys. Yeah.
All gonna be good.
It was actually a really good discussion with Brendan Rooker and everything. And the other guy that you were talking about beforehand was Matthew Liberatore.
Yeah, I'm actually 7 for 8 in my 8 leagues I've drafted so far for Matthew Liberatore. Most of it is the fact that I've been doing a lot of draft and holds, and in draft and hold leagues, you have 50 rounds and you have no waiver wire. So like landing somebody like Liberatore, who's like the opening day starter for the St. Louis Cardinals and will pitch in that league, you're like, oh, I'm buying like 100 usable innings, and I don't know
Yeah.
about the other 50 to 75, but I get 100 innings of a pretty good pitcher here. And I know he's in the rotation. He goes in like round 30. So it's kind of a use case thing. But recently, I looked at my early run spring numbers, and he was a top 10 starter by Stuff Plus, had a 120
Woo.
Stuff Plus. He's put on weight. I don't know if it's 20 pounds. I don't know if it's Zach Bean's 40 pounds, but he said he put on weight, and also a new splitter. And he doesn't have to rely on the splitter because he throws 6 other pitch types. So he there's a lot of boxes he checks that have nothing to do with how good his stuff is. He has like 8 pitches. He has decent command of them. He has a good home park. He has a role, and then maybe his stuff's up a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So I will say this about Liberatore. It's so interesting to me that he doesn't throw his sinker inside to lefties. Everything is away to lefties. Even his four seamer. I'm just like, what do you?
He just doesn't have command, or is he? There's that thing in Little League where you just don't want to hit the guy.
Yeah. Well, that's actually. Oh man, you gotta get that out of your head.
Get over that.
We're gonna now move to the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs. Well, Imanaga is throwing harder. I'm putting that in air quotes because he's hit 93
short stints.
And it's short stints, exactly right. It's hard to say that he's now sitting harder.
But it's better than him coming out throwing 91 or whatever Carlos is
throwing. Thank you so much. So it's good not to feel worse, is my
right.
That is a good thing. There's Matthew Boyd. There's Jameson Tyone. Cade Horton also was throwing harder. Bullpen reported to be at 96 and touching 98 all of a sudden for a guy that was 95 and change. It is something interesting to at least be aware of. Again, I'm not going to shoot him up my draft boards because of that, but I'm generally in on Cade Horton because I think that he is a righty Justin Steele in some aspects.
Yeah.
And I think that the Cubs in general are a great place to pitch because I think Wrigley helps more than hurts their pitchers, and that defense is exceptional with a winning ball club and a good offense, right? So
I think you want to wait a little bit before you call somebody a model beater. And he has some models to beat. Like his K- BB was below average. His stuff was below average. And yet my vibe coding says is model beater. Yes. I don't know. There's the cut ride. There's the ballpark. And also just, he could get a little bit better. Like he's young, and like maybe maybe the model say he wasn't that great in his first year, but what if the curve is just a little bit better this year and he gets some swinging strikes with that, and he ups his strikeout rate to 22% or 23% without changing his walk rate at all. And the cut ride fastball still, beats, the BABIP down and the home run rate down. And so I think he could get better to meet our expectations. So I've actually taken a few shares of him, even though, sometimes my rankings say I'm making the wrong decision.
By the way, I'm looking up Liberatore just a little bit more to see what it was that Stuff Plus changed so much. It's because he's throwing an 83 mile per hour cutter, but it's not that. It's not really that interesting relative to the four seamer. It's like 4 inches extra horizontal and 1 less of vert for a tick of velocity. I don't know if that's enough.
But also he only threw 2 of them, so
yeah. I was just trying to figure out what it was.
The changeup is up to a 103 Stuff Plus. That's probably the splitter.
Oh, there is 2 inches more of fade on it.
Yeah, and the sinker, had a 128 Stuff Plus in here, which he threw 4 of, and it was a short stint. So he probably also benefited from it being a short stint, and his velo is probably up a little bit.
Maybe. Sorry to bring it back to the Cardinals Cubs fans. I know. I just did. Eric Cabrera is also here, and I'm just curious to see if he can do more with the slider, keep throwing strikes, and be good. Not much else really with the Cubs, to be frank here. Hopefully Tyone can make the adjustments that he wants. Hopefully adding a little bit of the extra movement, because I saw with his four seamers that some of them had some real legit cut all of a sudden to them they never really had before, and then other ones were back to normal. So hopefully he can find that and
Wouldn't be
find that
crazy
number.
if they taught him a cut right fastball.
Oh man, look at the Cubs go, huh? We have the Pittsburgh Pirates up right now, and yeah, it's your boy Ashton Braxcraft, as I like to say. Him and Paul Skenes, of course, Mitch Keller, Bubba Chandler, and Jose Urquidy could be the SP5 here. I actually have Jose Urquidy circled as a sleeper for deep formats because we just haven't seen him since Tommy John for the most part. And I still think he's good-ish, and that's all you need to be if you get regular starts. Just don't be terrible, and I don't think Jose Urquidy is. I'm curious if there's someone else that you're focused on, or if you are in on the Urquidy train.
I mean, I want to see him pitch because sight unseen, I prefer Hunter Barco.
Ooh, interesting.
I think there's enough there. I wish he had a platoon neutral fastball. But if he, with Barco, if he came in with a cutter, oh, look at that. He threw 7 cutters. Boom. No, seriously. I like him, now a little bit more now that I've discovered he throws a cutter. So now he's cutter, four seam, splitter. I think that works.
Yeah.
That works. And especially it's a nice home park, and he seems healthier than Urquidy, and so he got the first bite of the apple.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
So he started already.
Yeah, seeing guys go earlier and be the first pitcher is a huge indication of interest from teams.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting point. I haven't been really super in on Barco, but I want to see more of him too. But if he's throwing a cutter, then all right. You know me. I'm a simple man. I am so simple. Braxton Ashcraft, anything new in that regard for you?
No, I think that the slider is a secret cutter, but now he throws a cutter too. So I don't know what it is, but it just, if you're worried about his four seam and his sinker against lefties, I think the fact that he has a cutter and a 92 mile/hour slider suggests to me that he could just go cutter, slider, curve against lefties and be fine.
Yeah. And Bubba Chandler did not have his best, but don't worry about it, in my view. I think the Bubba Chandler should be great and make us all feel dope. So obviously be watching more of him, but excited to see more. We have the Cincinnati Reds, and there is word that Chase Burns has been working on a changeup. I'm a little bit afraid of the flexor strain from last year, which is why I have him lower than I wanted to put him in my rankings. But it would be really exciting if Chase Burns figured out how to add that changeup to be a real 3-pitch guy, if not 4, with a curveball.
Yeah, I mean, like a second fastball if we're getting greedy.
Yeah, let's go.
But yeah, I mean, just the fastball and slider alone are just so exciting that I couldn't resist putting him where I put him. Where did you end up putting him?
I put him at 40. I wanted to put him at 30.
Yeah, because the projections are so good. I have him at 25, but
yeah, Kyle Bland is yelling me about it, and I was like, it's literally because he had a flexor strain last year.
I still only have 132 innings for Chase Burns. So, and the reason why he fits where he fits is because I'm near Shohei Ohtani, who have 121 innings.
Man, why?
Because why the 121 innings?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to do a 6-man. I think they'll be careful. I do know that he said he wants to win a Cy, and you don't win a Cy with 121. So,
I mean, the way I see it is Ohtani's in the perfect position just to pitch every 6 games. And if he does that at 5 innings each, that's, what is that? 140 innings or something like that. I have Ohtani at 11, just the pitcher. Wow. I find him one of the biggest sleepers. It's kind of wild. It's because most leagues don't, have Ohtani the pitcher alone, so he's not really in the. He's not talked about.
Not as much analysis about him,
right?
As a pitcher, yeah.
But he's insanely good. This is a stud pitcher, and okay, it's a 6-man, but that's the only limitation in my view. I don't think that he's gonna be treated like a first-year rookie or so, right?
Yeah. All right. I'm moving him up to 21.
Yeah, let's go, Eno.
Burns.
I might push up Burns. I want to so badly. It's just there's also
I'm
the
going to take
question
a
of
couple
like
innings from Burns. Maybe he's 131. Burns versus Rasmussen.
Rasmussen 100%. He just did 150.
That's true.
And like the Rays found the solution, and he's safer to me. Like I feel like there's more volatility with Burns. As much as I love him, he pitches in Cincinnati with an incredibly hittable four-seamer that is made for home runs.
Burns versus Cease. It's totally different players.
I had them back to back, and then I was like,
okay.
That's literally what happened. It was like, oh, who do I want? Flexor Strain. That's just a negative. But moving on with the Reds, there is some competition. They're saying with Burns and Rhett Lauder and Julian Aguilar. I'm curious about Rhett Lauder. I think that it was a lost season last year. He pitched above our expectations in 24, and at some point you're going to see Rhett, and that could be kind of good for your draft and holds.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a disconnect between Rhett's model numbers and what he does on the field, because he's not a guy that pops in the stuff model, but he has good strikeout rates.
Yeah, he's really efficient. He's a more of a command guy with, I believe, fastball slider.
Yeah. I'm interested in him, but I think that he's I think there's no competition if Burns is healthy.
This is the typical like, oh no, he has to earn his way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right, we're gonna go to the West and finish the National League, but before we do, we have to take a quick break. So the Arizona Diamondbacks actually got some news today that Merrill Kelly, despite getting an MRI saying everything is fine, is saying, but it's not fine. And might not be ready for opening day now. So my instinct is to say, well, what do the Arizona Diamondbacks do in this situation? They pick up the phone and they go sign Giolito, right?
Or Soroka just moves into the rotation.
Or Soroka just moves in the rotation. Fine.
Yeah.
But Giolito should just be somewhere. I know the qualifying offer stuff is just, I can't believe it. But let's just say that Merrill Kelly is healthy. I think he would have a great season. The defense is exceptional for the Diamondbacks. So I'm actually circling a lot of these as much as I can. I think one of the biggest inefficiencies that we have, it's really difficult, is predicting good team defense or really bad. And Jose Soriano last year, number one ground baller in the majors, had the worst defense behind him, thus terrible whip, right?
And how much better is it going to be this year?
Right. So I look at the Diamondbacks. They've had these successful seasons. We saw Merrill Kelly have two amazing ones. And I was like, oh, wait, those were like top 5 defenses in the majors. There you go. That was a good explanation for it. There was a worse defense last year, and Gallen, not as good, but now it's improved. I kind of like all of this, of Gallen, of Nelson, of Soroka is a very deep streamer. Now Eduardo Rodriguez, and Brandon Pfaadt. I don't know. Is there anything else you're looking into this spring with these guys?
Yeah, with Pfaadt, the thing for me is just like there are enough positives in his profile that I think there's a possibility. I don't have I don't have one of those
do this
tweets. Yeah. I don't have if only he did this, or oh, Brandon Pfaadt has this, and this, so he's going to be good. I can't tell you Brandon Pfaadt's going to be good, but I can tell you that his sweeper is a pretty good pitch. The model says his four seam should be okay. He has 3 fastballs. So even if his four seam is only okay or not great, he has 3 of them. The curveball looks at least average. What if he threw a kick change? And all of a sudden his changeup was like a average or better pitch? Or what if he tweaked the cutter and the cutter became more of a, above average pitch? There's so many types, and he's shown the ability to add that I'm like, maybe just one of these pitches gets a little bit better and everything kind of clicks. So I don't have a ton of shares of Pfaadt, but I wouldn't be against it. I think I have 1 share. I think he could break out. This is the type of pitcher where he's like, okay, I have a baseline. I think I belong in the big leagues, but if I want to take the next level, something's got to change. And it's going to be this,
This analysis is the equivalent of going up to your TV and banging it, knowing that eventually it will correct itself. Like, we don't know exactly what's going on, but we know, come on, it's going to work out.
Yeah, that's right. Just bang it another time. See what happens. If you're the pitching coach for Grand Font, just bang it one more time.
Hey, get your uncle. He's like, I've done this. Here we go. I can't quite buy into Font just because I watched them experiment.
Yeah.
And it never clicked enough. I remember being actually for the first time ever in on Font like the first week last season because he had his changeup and curveball working against lefties because he didn't have a weapon against lefties. All of a sudden, these two were working. I was like, oh, this is it. And then it stopped and it went away. And I find it really difficult to say, okay, cool. He's doing this now. This is going to stay around. This is now good.
Yeah, like I said, I can't point to it. I think
well, even when it happens is my point.
Maybe there's something missing in the fastball mix where like
could be
like
that,
more sinkers to lefties where he's like a true 3 fastballs to both lefties and righties.
Yeah, that might be interesting because you could play off of the difference in movement on them over the plate, which sometimes we do see that from guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, something to monitor there. But I just want Ryan Nelson to realize that he finally is a supinator or a pronator. Just decide. Just decide.
And finally maybe have a good secondary.
And the thing is, the slider isn't so bad. It's just I feel like there's something about what he does that telegraphs it more. That's got to be it to me. I don't know. But at the end of the day, his fastball's still really good and it gets outs and it's a great defense. And I'm like, I'll just take Ryan Nelson. I don't care.
There are other pitchers that do pretty well with just a good fastball and not great. Like Mackenzie Gore is actually somehow similar to Ryan Nelson.
Interesting. Robbie Ray can be at times.
Huh?
Robbie Ray kind of when he doesn't have the
Robbie Ray. That's a great one. Yeah, but it's funny that both our examples were lefties.
Yeah. That is a good point. Los Angeles Dodgers. We know nothing about these guys. So what is interesting for me personally is you have Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Ohtani, and then there's Snell. Snell's not going to be there for opening day now. Yeah. So at least we know Emmett Sheehan. There's no worry, buddy. Yeah. You're good. Come on in under the wing. I love Emmett Sheehan. I'm very excited about Emmett Sheehan. Now, the question to me is is this a 6-man or a 5-man? I've been under the assumption that this is 6-man. If there's any team in baseball that should have a 6-man, it's the Dodgers. They learned that last year. They won a World Series because it was a 6-man, where they were able to get through the season trying to mess around with their injury bug as much as possible to make them as healthy as they could in October. And then you have Roki Sasaki, Ben Kasparius, and Justin Rabolski. I'm going to tell you right now, Eno, I think Rabolski's the best one.
Yeah, I was looking. There's shockingly few innings for River Ryan in his career in the minor leagues.
I love him. But yeah.
It's so few innings that I don't think they can really count on him. So I don't know that you just move River Ryan into the top 6 and call it a day.
No.
Then if you want to be more polished because you're like, well, we're taking a chance because Roki's in this and Sheehan's in this, let's go with like more of a veteran. You could maybe do like a Landon Knack is like a boring veteran and you could just be like, hey, we win those games 6-5 or whatever. But I think you're right that Robolewski could be in the opening day rotation and he's not really being drafted that way. And he's not the most interesting player of all time. I do think his ERA might start with a 4.
No. I'm going to tell you right now, Rabolski's in the rotation to start the year.
All right.
And he's like pitches over 100 innings as a starter. Below 4 ERA.
All right.
I'm telling you right now,
I've got a ton of shares of his because he was going as a
four-seamer.
7th starter in draft and holds. I mean, it's a good 4-seam slider changeup combo.
Yeah.
For sure.
He improved his velocity last year. And instead of just being like a fastball slider guy, he actually expanded it, had 6 pitches, I believe. It's interesting because I was a Ben Kasparius guy.
Yeah.
I was like,
I still like him, but I think maybe he's just headed to the pen. I don't know.
Which is so ridiculous. Trade him.
Yeah.
Please pull a Ryan Pepio.
He would be in the rotation for somebody else.
So many other teams.
Yeah.
And this is the only reason why I wanted Freddie Peralta to be dealt to the Dodgers, because I thought that Ben Kasparias would go the other way. And after that trade happened to the Mets, I put out, of course, my fake Onion articles, which I'd love to do. That baseball fan celebrates that star player was not traded to the Dodgers. You know, I mean, that's how we all felt. Let's be honest, guys. But Kasparias fastball, slider, sweeper that are, cutter, slider that are great, and throws hard. I think has good enough command. If he were on any other team, he would be stretched out instantly, and we'd be talking about a lot more. But I think he's just going to get Dodgeritis this year. I think it's going to be this whole yo-yoing that's going to be frustrating. So Rabolski is the one I'm really curious about. Sasaki's slider, he went today. We have these beautiful new player cards. If you don't know this, at Pitch List, I've been working with Kyle Bland and the team to design a really nice, all-encompassing card that tells you all the information that you really want. That is more in depth than anything you'll see. And we made it for Sasaki today. We have a start grade involved in our models, and it gave him a C. It was pretty much just like average on everything of locations. We have a location grade for left-handers.
That is probably better than his past grades, right? As a starter.
Oh no! Oh, I'm so sorry. I lied. It was a D.
Oh gosh.
C minus for stuff. Locations D minus. PLV got an F. Not great. 14 to 15 inches of vert. 96, 97 velo, but nothing fun. He threw this cutter 11 times. Ryan? The cutter is 85, 86. It's really a slider that has a little bit extra sweep than the gyro, but
which may not be good because you kind of want those to be 0-0-ish.
Yeah, it's all. At least he's throwing a sinker. 7 feet of extension. It's not enough for me.
Yeah.
I'm out on Sasaki personally. I'm not out on the Giants though. I think they're the most underrated pitching staff.
Oh.
Well, because first of all, Logan Webb, love him.
You've always loved Robbie Ray.
And Robbie Ray, I mean, yes, but no, but yes. I think I love them relative to others. Now I'm like, I know he's a headache. But the other three, do you know who the other three starters are for the Giants?
Malley, Hauser, and Rupp.
Yes. Malley, I don't know why we're all ignoring that Tyler Malley is a good pitcher.
Yeah.
He's not like an exceptional one, but you give him the Giants, a good home park that's not Cincinnati, right? He did well in Arlington. And yeah, that's going to not allow the same home run rate that he had in earlier years with still a good fastball, slider and splitter, I believe. Adrian Hauser, who's known to be a weak contact with his four-seamer and sinker after last year, adding extension and a little bit of velocity, and has a very good slider to pair with it. And then there's Landon Rupp, who is, I still think, the best comp is Aaron Nola. And you saw last year a season where he exploded out of the gate and then slowed down and was hurt by the end. And he's getting another shot at it now. Like, I'm excited about this.
Tyler Malley, since he went to the splitter in 2019, has a 3.94 ERA with a 25% strikeout rate and 8% walk rate. That's a comfortably above average pitcher. I think you're right. I do think a little bit of this depends on what he's actually throwing velocity wise, but
sure,
should be useful at home at the very least. I don't know. I'm in Hauser. I'm not that into.
That's a deep one. That's like NL onlys. That's a circled like, okay, cool. I feel like I can get something here.
And what I like about Hauser is he does leave the door open for Carson Whisenhunt as my
newest thank you for mentioning him. Nice.
He's throwing a cutter now, and he got 2 extra ticks.
Is it 2 or is it not 4?
Well, more ticks. We don't. It's hard to know at this point.
It's the only time you want ticks.
96, 97 says Justice de los Santos. I love you, Justice. I don't know if I can take that to the bank, not because of Justice, but just because how many innings he pitched and so on. But yes, more velo and a cutter. The problem was he was soft in terms of velo, and he didn't have a fastball for the opposite-handed hitters. And the cutter could do that.
He's a swatch. He's a swatch that you watch them like, wait, hold on, this should work better. And now he's
Yeah,
throwing harder and has a cutter. Are you kidding me?
Blade Tidwell.
Love it too. Yes.
You know, the stuff was always there. The question is the command. So his outing where, you know, he walked a guy in one inning is, you know, I don't know what to, you're not saying anything definitive about that, but if you're watching Blade Tidwell starts, you are take a look at his command and see what you think of it, because those two guys both have more upside than Trevor McDonald, who is a just
Lovely
a
curveball.
traditional
Yeah.
kind of sinker baller. He's just
I mean, he threw over 50% curveballs in his last start last year, which, by the way, won many people a fantasy league against the Colorado Rockies.
and he's a
Lovely.
great streamer. But if we're
Yeah,
talking about
that's it.
upside, I order them Tidwell, Wisenhunt, McDonald. If we're talking about floor, I might do the exact opposite.
I would flip Tidwell and Wisenhunt personally, but I understand.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for Carson Seymour because he's like, well, I'm the premier Carson here because I got the velocity. And then now he's just like, well, oh God. All right. Hayden Birdsong exists. I just remember the talk about him changing his mechanics.
It didn't look good the first time out. He got one out and he walked like 3 guys and he gave up 5 runs.
That's
I mean,
what
I know it's just spring training results and it's I'm not talking about the runs as much as like, oh, you changed your mechanics and then it went disastrously. Like, this is not off to a great start.
Then there's Keaton Wynn as well, and I'm curious to see if at any point he gets an opportunity again. But there's one more who I have. It's almost like I'm saying this tongue in cheek at this point, but Caleb Killian has an NRI with the Giants.
He's back,
and I've seen some games of Caleb Killian where he just looks so good, and then all of a sudden he goes, all right, never mind. And it's just so good luck, buddy. He has no more options.
Deep a cut for me.
Yeah. It's not going to work out.
Oh, speaking of deep, how about the back end of this next rotation?
Oh boy. Well, okay. This is an interesting one. So Michael King and Nick Pivetta lead off the Padres. And before we even go further, I found myself pushing Nick Pivetta higher and higher on my draft board. I'm curious where you landed on him.
I have Pivetta 36.
I think I have him like 23.
Wow.
I think that Nick Pivetta figured out essentially how to utilize his arsenal better than ever. And going to San Diego, which, yes, it can be harmful in the summer, is just generally a much better location for him. So he's always been a low whip guy too, is the thing. And he throws more strikes than ever. Like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Pivetta. King, hopefully. All the word I've heard is that he's back to normal. So really excited to watch that one. Joe Musgrove, I think, is still ramping a bit, and we don't really know what we're going to get from Joe Musgrove quite yet.
Yeah, and you got to watch the breaking ball command coming off of surgery. He's like, everything he throws cuts. So if they told him not to throw a slider, what did he throw?
Yeah, I mean, that's a real question is, they want that slider back, right? Of course, everyone does, and we'll see what we get. Now, the bottom of the rotation, right now they have 3 options for 2 spots. And to me, it's really, one of them is locked and the other 2 guys are fighting for the last one. And the one that's locked is Randy Vasquez, who is throwing harder.
Oh.
I mean, at the end of last season, he was up to 95, 96. In like his last start, it was a tick and a half up if you saw like the StatCast breakdown. And I believe he's around there still, like 96. And this is a guy who's not supposed to be that. He's supposed to be like a 93 or something along those lines. I am surprisingly interested in Randy Vasquez all of a sudden. I just want to watch this in the spring. Because at the very least, like, he still did limit runs last year. Surprisingly, we can say all we want. He still had a sub-4 ERA. And if you throw in a little bit more velocity, he's more command focused, more crafty. Like, maybe there actually is something that speaks to a breakout year this year. I don't know.
The 102 stuff plus on his first start.
That's better than usual for Vasquez.
But also an 84 stuff plus on the 4-seam. But the model likes his cutter. So if he's, cutter curve change against lefties and 4-seam slider sinker against righties, maybe it'll work. I know that, like, Shohei Ohtani is surprisingly uncomfortable against Randy Vasquez, and like
Mm.
there are just certain player types that seem to not really see him that well. But you know, a 14% strikeout rate for his career, basically. It's like you you have relievers that will outK him in a given week, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, it has been, but then again, I mean, 96.6 was what we saw in 11 four-seamers he threw in 2 innings with 31 pitches, which is 3+ ticks harder than last year. Now again, right?
and he's out of options.
And so he should be in here. He's throwing the sinker at 95.3 with 16+ inches of horizontal movement. Not getting it inside to right-handers, staying away from it fine. But there's this cutter that he's getting strikes with too, 86% zone rate without fear.
Yeah, and the model likes the cutters. I mean, hey, maybe it's Randy Vasquez season again. I've in the past, you know, liked him at times, but you know that we've only given them 4, so you know that means there's a battle for 5 between German Marquez, Griffin Canning, JP Sears, and Walker Buehler. Unfortunately, JP Sears has an option.
I think they're going to push him in the minors.
I think they might, although, you know, there is an outside shot that Sears looks the best, and they just take him. But you know, I think Canning's going to open on the IL.
Yep.
So then it becomes German Marquez against Walker Buehler. For
who do you have there?
The shrug emoji. I had been saying that Walker Buehler would be a great pickup for a team in the bullpen, maybe on a small deal. I thought this was the time for him to switch to the bullpen and see if he could get back to 97 miles an hour. And maybe that'll still be the case. Maybe they move Buehler to the bullpen.
And with the German Marquez, I'm just always so curious to see like what he does differently. Right. And what is it that the Rockies pushed him to do? And what will the Padres push him to do? Is it going to be a difference? Is this stuff going to act differently? Right. I do worry about his command though. And it's not a good fastball. So we'll see what happens there. I think it would be Marquez is my gut with Buehler going to the pen. I mean, there's also Marco Gonzalez.
But would Buehler even go to the pen? You know, it's like, what kind of a deal did he sign? I mean, he signed a minor league contract, dude. So like,
yeah,
what is
that?
A really
good like, point.
Is Walker Buehler going to go to the minor leagues? Is he going to go to the pen? Is he going to have like an opt out in it where, you know, he jumps to some team that had an injury? I just would have figured that with now like a basically 260 innings of a near 5 ERA over the last 3 years that he would consider the pen.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's also Tristan McKenzie, who's coming out throwing harder.
Yeah, 99.
He doesn't know where it's going.
Yeah, he has no idea where it's going.
Oh, he really doesn't.
He's a choice. Do I throw hard or do I know where it's going?
Yeah, I don't have faith of this working out because I don't trust that McKenzie's going to make the right adjustment to all of a sudden figure that out. You know, I want him to. Boy, do I want him to, but no. But yeah, that's the situation for the Padres, and we have one left, I guess. I didn't even realize I made this last.
I bet it's appropriate.
Why did I do this? Look, is there anyone of note with the Rockies?
I would say I'm a little bit intrigued by Chase Dolander on the road.
It. Come on.
On the road.
But even that is like, okay, on the road against the Dodgers?
No.
Right. So we're already below 50% now.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh, God.
I like his breaking balls, though.
I mean, he throws hard.
Yeah, he throws hard and he has good breaking balls. I mean, you know, there could be somebody who, you know, Kyle Freeland had that one good year.
Well, it's not even that, though. It's that Kyle Freeland will have that one game, like the first weekend of the year.
Yeah.
Like he went to Miami last year for the first start. And it's like, well, all right. You know, that could happen to some of these guys like Jose Quintana, Michael Lorenzen, Chase Dolander, sure. But yes, it's possible. Maybe he pulls off an Ubaldo.
But just like figuring out, yeah.
Is there anyone else that you've seen since we've last spoken, that you want to mention, like, hey, you know what? That was a cool thing, and we have to discuss that probably on an AL team because, this was the National League podcast. And as Eno looks at that, by the way, I want to remind everybody that Pitcher List, we have a new live draft assistant tool to help with your drafts. It has my rankings, Scott Chu's rankings, and Rick Graham's rankings built into it for your own cheat sheet with a draft guide PDF coming out this weekend as well. So you can print it out and get your rankings. So look forward to that. And of course, enjoy my top 400.
I've got
rankings.
my,
you got it?
A piece up today or yesterday about who the new ABS system will impact the most. And it'll be our upstairs fastballs guys. So Joe Ryan will see the impact, but we're talking about in AAA last year, 2 overturned calls per game. So the impact on any one player will be marginal at best. But the impact on the game could be such that the upstairs fastballs guys may find like a little bit of struggle bunny early in the season as they figure out where the zone is. The zone is going to change the most at the top.
Yeah.
And then something I just noticed from watching games, Taj Bradley has a new sinker.
So
it could be useful. I mean, if he doesn't have good command, but he throws the ball firm, and if he throws the ball towards the middle of the zone, and sometimes it's a 4-seam and sometimes it's a sinker, that could be interesting.
Yeah, that's very fair. With Taj Bradley, it certainly has been a wrestling match with him and his control on a given day. Is the fastball going up, down, cutters over here, there? It still cracks me up that he tried a splitter, and then you have a curveball as well. But yeah, Taj Bradley, that's interesting. Actually, even the whole twin situation could be very interesting. I really can't wait to see more of Abel and Connor. Oh my God, Prelip as well. And stoked for that. But next week we got to talk rankings. We got to do it. So we will have a Eno versus Nick ranking episode next week.
I will be in spring training. You will
in
be
spring training,
most likely talking to me from the Colorado Rockies talking stick field, where I will be shortly after that watching a game against the Team USA against the Rockies, I think.
Oh my gosh.
That's what my schedule has me next Wednesday.
Of all the teams. Oh, well, enjoy that. That should be a lot of fun.
I go to Team Mexico, except that I don't speak Spanish well enough to get anywhere in that locker room.
I took French in high school. Je parle français, mais l'accent de français c'est magnifique. Hein? Yeah.
I speak German fluently. I've done an interview with Max Kepler all in German, but
oh, that's awesome. Well, we'll make sure we do that podcast next week. And make sure that you guys send us any specific ranking battles that you want us to have. We will certainly get to it. But I can't thank Eno enough for being such a special guest with us. So thank you, Eno, for your time. And my name is Nick Pollack. And may your battles be low and your strikeouts high. We'll talk about rankings next week on The Craft.